South Africans that are living in Dubai, as well as those stranded while transitioning or transiting through the region, say that they are increasingly becoming anxious amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. The situation follows recent military action involving the United States and Iran, with retaliatory strikes heightening concerns about safety across the region. Here at home, President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling for restraint, with the International Relations Department releasing emergency contact details for South Africans that are seeking assistance in the affected countries. Let's continue with our coverage of the story. Bring in now our senior reporter, Chriselda Lewis, who is engaging one of the families affected by this, Chriselda, and it's one of, I can imagine, hundreds of families around the world anxious to see how things unfold in the Middle East.
Well, that's right, Ayanda. I think since the weekend, it's really been a scramble for many of the families, in particular, here in South Africa and I guess around the world, looking for their loved ones, in particular in these countries that have been affected. We've spoken to a number of South Africans in various countries who've been giving us updates about the situation where they are. But of course, you'd recall at the weekend, the attack by the United States on Iran. We've spoken to a number of families who are concerned about their loved ones in what we can refer to as the epicenter of this escalating violence that we have seen. And I want to bring in one of the South Africans whose family is trapped in Iran at this particular time. I'll bring in Mr. Sed Husini. Mr. Husini, thank you so much for availing yourself to speak to us. This must be absolutely devastating for you and your family. A couple of hours ago, I was under the impression that it was just your daughter who's trapped in Iran, but you've got multiple family members trapped as this conflict escalates.
Yeah, not only my daughter or my family. Millions of Iranians are living outside Iran. None of them has got no news about their loved ones since the beginning of the war. It's just because the American and Israelis, when they want to attack to Iran, they have got technologies which are based on internet. So that's why the Iranian government has to shut down all of the internet communication, including the Starlink, which they were thinking is the best method of communication, which Iranian did manage to dismantle also. We don't blame Iran for doing this because it is a necessity to save more lives, as the missiles are sometimes guided by the GPS system and also by the internet, which is widely provided by the American, especially the Starlink, communication system has been smuggled into Tehran. That sometimes even the facilities has been discovered from the diplomatic bags of some Indian or some foreign or some Western diplomats which were traveling to Iran. They were traveling instead of luggage with a Starlink communication system. So it shows that they were using the system, so Iran does not have no other way but to dismantle this and to disconnect and shut down this communication. And as a result, all of the people who has got loved ones in Iran, they have no any method of communication. Since the beginning hours of Saturday, where the first message came from my daughter on the family group that we have, that some explosions are heard here, but I'm far from the place. Don't worry. Probably this is going to be the last message I have sent, but I'm safe. But since that time, I tried every facility. Like I called using my cell phone, normal communication on a normal call didn't work. The telecom communication to houses, the normal telephone calls did not work. The WhatsApp is closed. The Telegram is closed. Some Iranian applications are also have no any internet. I tried to call probably about tens of my friends in Iran. All of them has got the same problem. I tried to talk to the embassy and also to the other, means of communication, which all of them has got any facility to communicate with the loved ones. I've got my sister there. I've got my one brother in Tehran. I've got another brother in Mashhad, another sister in Mashhad, another sister in Qom, which most of these towns are under attack. And they are using a very, how I can say, very explosive, very highly explosive new bombs are tried and tested on Iranian sky to kill civilians. One of the incidents which happened, they actually bombarded a primary school, which were all girls, and up to now the toll of the dead students under 12 is gone to about 148, only the killed ones. Probably there are about 300 injured. They are bombarding hospitals. Yesterday they have targeted Gandhi Hospital, another hospital in Kermanshah, another hospital in Karaj has been targeted. And this is the situation that we have while Iranians are targeting the American bases in the region, not civilian places like American Abraham Lincoln, what you call Navy carrier, which for the first time in history has been targeted by 4 Iranian ballistic missiles, which 4 American soldiers killed. They killing the children, but the Iranians are trying to target their American military bases.
If I may come in there, Mr. Husini, this must be devastating for you and your family here in South Africa as you watch these visuals being beamed on networks across the world, and you have absolutely no communication. The last, as you say, was on Saturday. That's the last communication that you had from your family about what is going on there. This must be, just talk to us about how you and your family are coping. I can't understand.
I can tell you from the 24-hour, beside the time that I sleep, I am the rest of the time always on my phone, scrolling. Maybe there is a news, maybe there is a message, maybe there is a way to communicate. But unfortunately, not me alone. Every single Iranian, probably we are about 6 million people overseas, scattered all around the globe. None of us, we have no information from our loved ones. As I said, the communication system is completely shut down. But this is something that we should blame the American and the invaders, the Israelis, because they are trying to bombard the nation while they were sitting at the negotiation table trying to discuss and solve out the problem. Even last time when they were busy negotiating on the negotiation table, they came and attacked in that 12 days war. In the second time also, just the day before the attack happened, they were busy negotiating, and both sides were saying that we are progressing. But it seems that on the first and the second occasion, both of them was a trapping tactic by US, which has been used to keep the Iranian diplomats busy and have their so-called preemptive operation in Iran, which mainly the civilians has been targeted.
Mr. Husini, you spoke about multiple family members that are now trapped in Iran. You mentioned a number of the areas where they're based, and these are mainly areas that are under attack. Do you know, I know there's very little communication. You last spoke to your family on Saturday, but do you know if there have been any interventions either by the government to assist, whether it's South Africans or Iranians in these different areas? Is there any information that you're trying to get from maybe a third source?
Unfortunately, I have to express here that the South African embassy has failed to do their duty in a effective way. When the first war happened, it's understandable to close your embassy during the war. And it's also understandable to remain closed for a week or two or even a month. But up to recently, the embassy was closed 6 months after its attack. I don't understand what is the philosophy, what is the reason for closure of our South African embassy in Tehran. But most of people want to get visa to come to South Africa. They fail. I know somebody who is married in Iran, and he wants to bring his wife to South Africa. And I asked him what's happening. He said, I can't get visa because the embassy of South Africa is closed. My daughter also last time wanted to bring her. We had to wait for a very long time for the embassy to be opened for her to get visa to come. And the same is with not me, every single Iranian which are, if they need visa or. Besides that, I even had communication with a business delegate from South Africa who is in Iran. On Thursday, they called me and we had a conversation. They wanted to do some business and I was supposed to arrange for them. But I told them, sorry, it is Thursday and Iran is off. Friday will be off. Saturday, I'm going to start setting up your business meetings. And Saturday morning, this happened. They said to me, last communication I had with them, that we are off to the north part of Iran where Caspian Sea is there. We will be back by Saturday, but Saturday came and I lost all of my communication. And I already have even talked to some people for them to have a business meeting, but unfortunately we don't know where they are, what is happening to them, if they are still in north or in Tehran or anything happened to them. Besides that, so many other communication. A lot of people in Iran is in this hostile situation, which is imposed by American and Israelis.
Yeah. At the weekend, there were a number of South Africans that reached out in places where there was still communication. For example, in Dubai, where South Africans have been calling for help. These are South Africans who are working in these countries. And then we had communication from the Department of International Relations here in South Africa. There were a number of telephone numbers that were put out for South Africans that are in those countries, in the affected countries, including where your family is, numbers to call. Do you think that intervention came a little too late?
Well, for Iran, there is no such number or some such, things. Besides that, even if they can appoint another embassy to extend visa.
If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Husini, I think there was one for Tehran. If I'm not mistaken, I just need to go back.
No,
and check those
South Africa has
again.
got an embassy in Tehran, but they close it as soon as the war starts, and they don't open it for a long time. That's the problem. So our demand is that at least the embassy of South Africa in Tehran, if they are closed, let them be closed. But if that is the case, then they should introduce an alternative country or an alternative place. Like they say, okay, come to Turkey and we'll give you a visa there. The alternative country also has not been introduced. Or you can go to another embassy and through them you can solve your problem and we can issue the visa. Or there should be some emergency visa bureau which they can give them visa, but unfortunately none of these arrangement has been done.
And I think with the airspaces that have been shut down, that makes it increasingly difficult as well. What is the fear for you and your family as you sit with me at this moment? What is the fear?
Well, I'm not only worried about my family, I'm worried about all of those innocent Iranians who has been targeted by the American and Israelis in their own territories without having any crime. I'm worried about those millions of other brothers and sisters that I have in Tehran and in Qom and in Mashhad and in Karaj and at the other towns. I am worried about the families of those 148 children under 12, the girls under 12 that for the last time their mothers sent their child to school. They didn't know that they are going to come back. The last favor they had to their children was on the morning. They didn't know that this is going to happen to them. I'm worried about all of these innocent people which the American are testing their bombs on their houses and their schools. You know, I'm worried about the patients who are in Gandhi Hospital targeted by the American bombs. I am worried about those street walkers, the shopkeepers, the teachers, the schools, the hospitals.
You just want to see your family again.
That's exactly.
You want to hug your family again
not
and
only
just talk
me.
to them.
I'm worried about all of them. One of them is my daughter, or one of them is my sister, my brother. All of them, they are my brothers and sisters. And probably there are a lot of foreigners also who are trapped there in Tehran. I'm worried about all of them. So this is a law of animals, that you go to a country, you kill the leader of the country, kill the commander of the army, and still you call yourself a civilized person, while all of these are prohibited under the charters of United Nations. They go to a country like Venezuela, they kidnap the president and the wife of a country in the eye of all world, and no one is there to protest against them. It's just because you have the power. You can do whatever you want. This can happen tomorrow in South Africa. Just because South African has been so much brave and had the initiative to take Israel to Hague, they may come and punish us also in South Africa.
And I think the greatest concern right now is that if there is no form of negotiation, at the weekend we spoke to a number of commentators who spoke to us about the negotiations that had been taking place in Oman. But that seems to have failed. And there's a fear that if there aren't talks to go around the table anytime soon, there could possibly be an escalation of this violence, and families such as yourself are going to continue to sit in the dark, not knowing where your loved ones are.
Negotiations has got rules. Has to be between two people from equal condition and equal situation. But when you come to talk to somebody and imposing your terms and conditions to him, and you expect him just to accept whatever you demand, that's not negotiation. That's what American wants. American saying that you must give me that other gun that you have. Give me the gun that he has got a gun, and I also has got a gun. He says, give me the gun that you have. How can I do that? Leave your gun and then I can leave my gun also. But you have nuclear technology, you have bombs. Even I said I don't want to have bomb, but you don't allow me even to have, using this technology for medical purposes, which a lot of patients in Iran, because of the sanctions of American, we can't have those medicines, and we want to produce it in our country using the nuclear technology, which has got medical use. But they say, no, you don't have to do this. It's only us we can use the technology. So the negotiations between a wolf and a sheep does not have no meaning. Only two ships or two wolves can talk to each other. And this is exactly what they're expecting from us. They want us to stop supporting Palestine, supporting Gaza people, while they killed 70,000 people, demolished about the entire Gaza, flattened to the ground. Up to now, all of the Gaza is under siege, and they have not received water, any food. All of the communications there is also dismantled. The people are living outside of their houses.
And just finally, Mr. Husini, we've run out of time. With all the communication that has been cut off, we're hoping that this interview, once put onto our platforms, sometime when you have communication perhaps restored, we don't know if and when that is going to happen. What would you want to say to your family?
I just want to have a small request from the South African embassy. If either they should have one person or one personnel in the embassy, or because they are using it through VFS, they don't even have to have somebody at the embassy. They can just introduce a system of an email for the visa applications to be received via that email, which somebody can even process those applications in South Africa. Today we are living in a time of technology, and the communication is so easy. The minimum thing which the South African, the foreign ministry of South Africa can do is to create a facility that VFS, which is open in Tehran and receive applications for visas for other countries, they should be allowed to accept the visa applications for people who are supposed to come to South Africa, loved ones which they want to travel to South Africa, and they can receive those applications via some means. But this is the minimum what South African government can do.
All right. Mr. Sed Husini, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
We do appreciate your time here on SABC News, especially during such a difficult time. Mr. Husini, unclear about how his family is in different areas in Iran, including in Tehran, where you have some of his family members there. The last communication that he had with his daughter was on Saturday, where she sent a voice note indicating that she was okay, but his concern is obviously that he has other family members in other areas that have been incredibly affected by this. There is absolutely no communication at this stage. He is calling for some intervention, but very difficult at this stage, Ayanda, given the fact that the airspace has been closed. And this is just an example of one of the families who have their loved ones in Iran. And there's been no communication for days, so you can only imagine the agony. And understandably, Mr. Husini becoming very emotional there as he speaks about not just his family, but many others that have been affected by this escalating violence. And it'll be very interesting to see over the next couple of hours. There's been some condemnation over the United States' attack on Iran. And then, of course, the retaliation there. But while you talk about whether it is internationally correct, there are families such as that, as Mr. Husini, who are hoping that there'll be some news about their loved ones in the next couple of hours.